Hello guys, this is Dr. Diva. I have done Bachelor of Dental Surgery from Government Dental College Raipur, Chhattisgarh. This is my first YouTube video and as we all know that April is Cancer Awareness Month, so I have chosen the topic oral cancer. The word cancer means crab in Latin language because the enlarged veins resembled the legs of a crab. In the next slide, I can show you a picture. So, this is a picture where a cell is shown. Basically, cancer cell where we can see the legs, I mean to say in the cell where it resembles the legs of a crab. Now comes the definition. The uncontrolled tissue growth in susceptible patient which result from the imbalance between cell division and programmed cell death. It is an uncontrolled tissue growth, as we are saying, and which is not in a particular direction. There is no directional growth. For everything there should be direction, right? But in case of cancer cells, there is no control and even not in a proper direction. That's why the word uncontrolled is used for the tissue growth. And what comes important is susceptible patient. Why the susceptible patient word is chosen? Because there should be some etiology behind the cancer, and we will come to the etiology in further slides. But here the important terms which should be on tips is uncontrolled tissue growth, susceptible patient, and imbalance between cell division and programmed cell death. Under programmed cell death, we know the terms like necrosis, apoptosis, necroptosis. So these are the types of programmed cell death, but mostly apoptosis is a programmed cell death. There should be a balance between the division and cell death, cell division and cell death. But if the balance is missing, then we can see the cancer cells. Okay. Then the oral cancer is the most prevalent cancer and is one of the 10 major causes of death in India. This is a scenario of India. Okay, and among all the types of oral cancer, most common one is squamous cell carcinoma. 95% cases in people older than 40 years of age. The age is specific because basically the people have various etiologies, and it depends whether the person is taking smokeless tobacco or smoked tobacco, or the person is having any familial or genetic issues, or any radiation. Okay, so it varies, but age usually remains 40, 50 or 60. The average age is mostly 60 years. It's an important picture for the mostly adult generation. Like, it's cool if we take this, but it's not cool actually. It's like making fool out of ourselves if we are taking this, है ना? Etiology and risk factors for oral cancer. So these are the various factors, and risk factors are also included in this. The most important cause of oral cancer in India is tobacco use, mostly in the form of smokeless form and smoked form also. Alcohol, actinic radiations, familial and genetic cause, atmospheric pollution, and from atmospheric pollution till virus, they are like sub factors, but the most important one is tobacco use only. So what the patient come to you, when the patient comes to you, that are the symptoms which the patient is saying to you. Okay, so it's like persistent oral ulcer. सर मुंह में छाला है, घाव है. दिस इज़ द मोस्ट कॉमन थिंग. और सर और मैम, हमारे मुंह में ये छाला बहुत दिनों से है. दिस इज़ द मोस्ट कॉमन थिंग विच वी यूज टू हर्ड फ्रॉम द पेशेंट्स. Sore throat is common thing. Ear pain is also seen in patients. Patients saying that my ear is aching from a lot of time, and due to the persistent ulcer, and it depends on the size of the ulcer. If the ulcer is small, then the jaw movement is normal. But if the ulcer is in huge size, usually in villages or in rural areas, people don't have awareness regarding these things, and they used to treat with the, or they even used to go to the quack. So they don't have any idea. And if the ulcer size is big, then there will be problem in jaw movement also, so irregular jaw movement. Lump in neck, as we all know that lymph nodes are usually, lymph node involvement is there in oral, in cases of oral cancer, so the lump in the neck can be seen. Paresthesia or numb tongue, if the cancer involves the floor of the mouth or lateral border of the tongue, then paresthesia or numbness in the tongue can be seen. These are the pictures. You can easily remember the symptoms, what the patient says in the form of these pictures, like persistent oral ulcer, sore throat, ear pain, irregular jaw movement, and neck lump. The last one is paresthesia or numb tongue. Though then comes the clinical features. Most important clinical features being, it is mostly seen in male sex, being common 2:1 ratio. Okay. Then age, I have already told that average age is generally 60 years. Most common site, posterior and lateral border of tongue and lower lip. In lower lip also, after posterior and lateral border of tongue, most common site is lower lip, because usually people used to keep these gutkas or and smokeless tobacco in the form of a tobacco pouch in between labial mucosa of the lower teeth. Okay, so here creates a pouch form. In the form of pouch, they used to keep it there. And symptoms, small lesion if there, I have already told that when the persistent ulcer is small in size, people usually don't go because they are unaware also, and usually it is asymptomatic also. If the lesion is large, then remember these 3 P's, there will be pain, paresthesia and persistent ulcer. And one more thing, function of organ is impaired, that is if the lesion involves mandible or maxilla, then the function of the jaw will be impaired. Here organ means jaw. And the 3 P's will be there if the lesion is large, that is pain, paresthesia and persistent ulcer. So this is the picture, and this is the most common site of oral cancer in India. Okay, so this is the lateral border and posterior position. You can see the position, it is posterior and lateral border of the tongue. Here what I was saying, the tobacco pouch, okay, or keratosis also. In this picture you can see it shows a white, yellowish and greyish mucosal roughness and snuff dipping pouch in the gingiva and lower labial mucosa. Usually these patients used to place the snuff in that place for nearly, if you will go to the history, if you will ask the history, past history or personal habits, then you will come to know that these patients used to keep that smokeless form of tobacco there in that pouch for 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. So they have the habit of a long term, and that leads to this. And it shows white greyish mucosal roughness, corrugations and snuff dipping pouch in the gingiva. You can see in the gingiva and left upper labial mucosa also. Then comes the histological features. I know these histological features are way boring, but if you see them in a microscope, you will better understand. And everyone, I know in colleges, everyone can see them in slides. These are basically the features of epithelial dysplasia. And in epithelial dysplastic features are most important. They should be on tip for everyone. It's like loss of polarity of basal cells. Epithelium is there are 4 layers of epithelium, and सबसे नीचे there will be stratum basale, and there will be loss of polarity of these basal cells. Even there can be presence of more than 1 layer of these basal cells, which is also one of the feature of epithelial dysplasia or epithelial dysplastic features. Okay, increased nuclear cytoplasmic ratio, we can see that there is a normal ratio of nucleus and cytoplasm in a cell, and that ratio varies. It is usually 1:1, but it increases to 2:1 or 4:1. Drop shaped RT process and irregular epithelial stratification, increased number of mitotic figures, cellular pleomorphism, nuclear hyperchromatism. All these features usually we draw even in histological diagrams, but we should remember them and they should be on tips. So there are basically three types of squamous cell carcinoma which you should be able to identify under the microscope. That is well differentiated, moderately differentiated, and poorly differentiated. In well differentiated, we can easily identify the keratin pearls. Look, if it is well differentiated one, then we can see the minimal dysplastic features in it. And if it is poorly differentiated, we can see most of the dysplastic features in it. And the normal one, the normal structure will closely resemble the well differentiated one. So there will be keratin pearls seen which can be easily identified, and the basal layer of cells, there will be no loss of polarity, and there will be little invasion of the dysplastic cells. Okay. Whereas in case of moderately differentiated, you can see the keratin pulls are less in number as compared to well differentiated, and there will be features, there will be breakage in the layer of epithelium, in the basal layer of epithelium, and the dysplastic cells will invade, but not in a great huge amount. In a moderate amount, you can see both well differentiated and poorly differentiated in moderate one. But whereas in case of poorly differentiated, everything is like khichdi. All the things from upper layer of epithelium goes down into the tissue, and there is a disaster. Okay. Now comes the radiological features. So most important, its appearance, roughly semicircular or saucer shape. It's the general thing. Okay. I'm not saying everywhere it will be same only. Like for the floor of the mouth, it will be somewhat different. Lateral border of tongue, it will be different. If it's involving jaw area, it will be different. For every region, it will be different. But I'm saying on a general aspect. Okay. So it will be roughly semicircular or saucer shaped erosion into the bone surface. Margins will be ill-defined with ragged borders. What we have already learned in general surgery, if we go for cancer or any persistent ulcer examination, what are the features which we should look into? These features are very peculiar to each and every ulcer also. If it is tubercular ulcer, if it is syphilitic ulcer, or it is related to actinomycosis, or even it is related to basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma. The ulcers, border, margin, edge, everything will depend and everything will be varying. So here it is squamous cell carcinoma. So margins will be ill-defined and it is of jaw. Even squamous cell carcinoma of different organs also differ. It's basically oral cancer. So margins will be ill-defined, ragged borders, finger-like extensions, infiltration of bone will be seen because it is more closer to bone, and it can easily involve the bone. That's why it is more dangerous if it involves the jaw. Sometimes involves lower border of mandible with fracture. Even patient comes to us with fracture of mandible because there's problem in eating. That's why they are coming. At that time they are coming. After the size of ulcer is like huge because of difficulty in eating. Until then they were like okay. So effect on surrounding tissues, we should examine the surrounding tissues. Surrounding tissues also will show a lot. Effect on teeth, the teeth are usually floating in case of ulcers. They are like floating in air basically, because even in huge large lesions there can be fracture of mandible or there can be signs, and we can usually see that there is floating tooth. Here in this case you can see the saucer shaped ill-defined radiolucency in the region of 4, 6, 4, 7. Actually 4, 7 is not. 4, 7 and basically region of third molar. 4, 8. So it is the lobulated saucer shaped ill-defined radiolucency, and this patient is of squamous cell carcinoma, and it is very nearer to the mandibular canal. OPGs, CT, MRI also play a lot of role in identifying the type of cancer. Okay. Although the history is very important, we should go in a serial wise series only. the definite series which we have learned throughout our life. That is, first we should be very conclusive with the case history. In that case history, past history is very important, personal habits are very important, and then comes the features which we are able to see, clinical features. Then comes histology, smear, cytological smear or incisional excisional biopsies are very important. Then comes the radiology. Okay. And then the diagnosis part. Clinically, how can we diagnose a squamous cell carcinoma? There will be an ulcerated growth with indurated base, rolled margin in the favor of squamous cell carcinoma. These are the points which are in favor of squamous cell carcinoma. So clinically, there will be an ulcerated growth with indurated base, rolled margin in favor of squamous cell carcinoma. Radiological, ill-defined radiolucency with infiltrative margin may diagnose oral carcinoma. Laboratory, that is the histological part only. There will be keratin pearls and features of epithelial dysplasia. I have already told you that features of dysplasia are very important to remember and they should be on your fingertips. They will help you a lot in future to identify the any neoplastic cell. Even any neoplastic cell you can identify if you know the features of dysplasia properly. Then the most important thing which we always try to forget, but don't forget these things, differential diagnosis. Even in exams also you should mention this. You can mention 2 only, but that will fetch you marks. So either remember the 2, either clinical and radiological. Differential diagnosis are both. In clinical, ulcerated benign tumor, basal cell carcinoma, verrucous carcinoma, pyogenic granuloma, these can all be the differential diagnosis. And in radiological part also, there are differential diagnosis, that is osteomyelitis, osteoradionecrosis, periodontitis. A periodontitis is the most common differential diagnosis. You can write because there is generalized bone loss in case of periodontitis. Mostly in case of chronic generalized periodontitis, there is a generalized bone loss seen which resembles most often like carcinoma. So you can write periodontitis, and in patients who have undergone already radiation therapy, you can also mention osteoradionecrosis as a differential diagnosis. This is the case of osteomyelitis. Look, osteomyelitis also, it resembles similar way what you have seen, like ill-defined radiolucency. Here in this picture, both these pictures depict osteomyelitis only. Then comes the most important thing, TNM staging, which can be asked to you in examinations also in the Viva part. So TNM staging is all about T, that is size of primary tumor in centimeter, N, that is lymph node involvement, and M, distant metastasis. It should be on your tips basically, at least for exam point of view, है ना? So TX, no information available on primary tumor. Remember the size, at least T1, T2, T3, that less than 2 cm, 2 to 4, and greater than 4 cm, and T4 invaded adjacent structures. This you have to by heart only. There is nothing to explain in it. But here one thing in lymph node involvement, it is one thing special, that N2 has 3 sub parts, N2A, N2B, and N2C. N1 single clinically positive ipsilateral on same side node less than 3 cm. Okay, but N2 there are 3 and N3 node or nodes greater than 6 cm. M, also remember M0, M0 or M1, no distant metastasis and distant metastasis is present. So it is the different ranges or classification which you have to mention if you are taking a case history. Then comes the management. I know management is a huge part and it needs a separate session to discuss about management in detail, but I have just mentioned the brief part so that if a long note comes about it, you can easily write, because a long note does not require everything in detail. You just need to mention the points. So management is removal of cause, excisional biopsy, surgery, chemotherapy. Look, removal of cause is done. It is the most important thing, of course. If a patient is taking any form of tobacco or any cause is there like alcohol or anything, Okay, that should be removed first, the first and foremost thing. Then comes excisional biopsy. If the lesion size is less than 2 centimeter, then we can do the excisional biopsy and the lesion can be removed. But if it is more than 2 centimeter, then we have to think about surgery and chemotherapy. In removal of cause, we should remove the local irritants, and that is 5S. Remember it like 5S: smoking, spices, spirit, sepsis, and syphilis. So these are the 5S which you can easily remember. Then comes the surgical part, that is cryosurgery, laser and radical surgery. Radiation can be given in squamous cell carcinoma. Chemotherapy given in patients who cannot undergo surgical or radiation therapy. So here it is okay, over. I think I have done some or less benefit, but what is more important is there should be there should be series or sequence of learning everything in my point of view. So first you should go through books. If you find it boring, then you can for revision purpose you can go through this, and you can analyze and understand in a more better way. Thank you very much.